Going to start at the bottom. Eddie Wineland versus George Root. Wineland is 15 and 6. He's got his track record is loss, win, win, loss, win. He's got the wins over the people like Manny Tapia, but he's lost to the likes of Chase Beebe and Rani Yaha. He is facing George Root, who is 10 and 5, wins by decision, loses by submission. His track record is win, loss, win, loss, win. He loses to the likes of Shane Nelson and George Sotiropoulos, and I can't really say that there are many people that I know that he wins over. And this, I think, is the problem here, is that I think Eddie Wineland will probably win. I'm going to go for a bar submission in the second. And this is the debut of fighter Anthony Morrison.
Right.
You came away from England, man?
I did, Anthony, yes. All the way through.
I wouldn't care,
It was...
Especially to see this guy? I'm quite sure they serve cheesesteaks in England.
No, they didn't on the flight. It was a good 8 hours on the flight over the Atlantic to get here. I hadn't realised it was quite so long. I'm here with Anthony Morrison.
Funny, it has to be said, he is a total hoot, to be totally honest. He is facing an extremely important person in his debut. This person is called Mike Thomas Brown. He is, in fact, the recently deposed champion who, of course, was responsible for the removal of Uriah Faber. Now, Anthony Morrison is clearly put here in his debut to lose. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that I think Anthony Morrison will win. I think he will take it to decision, and I'm going to go for a decision victory here. I'm not sure that he would be able to finish Mike Brown, but I think that he will put on a stunning performance, and I'm hoping that he will win, and I'm going to go for decision there. Cotty Wheeler is 10 and 2, wins by submission. He is coming off a loss, and he loses to the likes of Charlie Valencia. He is facing Will Campuzano, who is 6 and 1. He's also coming off a loss. Wins usually by TKO, loses by submission. I'm going to go for Cotty Wheeler here. I'm going to go for submission. I'm going to go for choke in the third. Mark Hominick is fighting Brian Caraway. Brian Caraway is in fact making his debut in WEC here. He's on a 3-fight win streak, but I can't see many calibres on his record. He's got a record of 14 and 3. 12 of those wins are by submission. Mark Hominick is 16 and 8. He wins by TKO and submission, but he loses by submission. Important there. Another important thing to remember is that he has not fought last year, so he might be a little bit ring rusty, and his record before that was win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, win. He's lost to the likes of Rani Yaha and Josh Grisby, and beaten the likes of George Gurgle and Savant Young. I'm going to go for Mark Hominick. I'm going to go for him by TKO in the second, in this one. Right, Wagner Fabiano is fighting Frank Gomez. Fabiano is 12 and 2. He wins usually by submission, 7 of which are submission wins. He's coming off a loss to the likes of Jeff Curran. He wins over the likes of LC Davis. Frank Gomez is a Jackson's trained fighter. 8 and 1, loses by submission, wins by TKO. So this is going to be striker versus groundsman here. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Has won over the likes of Seth Deacon and Noah Thomas. Not what you call extreme calibres by any stretch of the imagination. He lost to Scott Jorgensen. Difficult one this, because I would like Frank Gomez to win, but I am a little bit worried with just how high Fabiano's level of submission is. I think I'm going to have to go for Fabiano by bar submission, I'm afraid. I'll go for that in a second. Right, Charlie Valencia is facing Akitoshi Tamura, I think is his name. Tamura has a record of 14-7, wins and loses by decision, and his past record is win-loss, win-loss, win. Loses to the likes of Wagner Fabiano, and wins over the likes of Manny Tapia. Charlie Valencia is 11-5, wins by submission and decision, loses by submission and TKO. He's on a 2-fight win streak, loses to the likes of Dominic Cruz, Brian Bowles, Cub Swanson and Uriah Faber. So he basically loses to every calibre that he faces, and even some that are not calibres, Cub Swanson, for example. But Akitoshi Tamura doesn't sound much like a calibre to me. I'm going to go for Charlie Valencia. I'm going to go for him by decision. Now, I couldn't find much information on Devidas Toraservikussi, something like that. Sounded completely random. He is fighting Makins Semizizer, who has a perfect record of 5, 4 of which are submissions, and he wins over the likes of Wagner Fabiano. So I'm going to go for Makins Semizizer, and I think I'll go for him by submission. I'll go for Bar in the second. That could be very, I don't know, because I wasn't able to find much on this Devidas thing. I don't think I've even spelt his name properly. That could be part of the problem. Again, Dave Jensen, I couldn't find much information. I did find somebody on Sherdog, but it said he had a perfect record of 0. I can't think that is right. He's facing Kamal Shaloris, who has a perfect record of 5, but 1 that is sort of no contest. Wins usually by TKO, but he has faced no calibers. I'm going to go for him by TKO. I'll go for it in the third. Again, I don't know anything about his opponent. Now, these are 2 very interesting matches here. We've got Rafael Asankeo, and he's facing Uriah Faber. Now, Faber is returning. He's had a little stint out recently because he hurt himself, and before that, he didn't have a very good run, really. He was deposed, and then when he faced the person who deposed him again, it all went terribly wrong for him. Rafael Asankeo, in case you don't know, is 14-1. He's got 8 submission victories. He loses by decision. But I don't think that he's going to be much of a match for Uriah Faber. I hate to say it, but I'm going to go for Uriah Faber. I'll go for choke in the second there. And Jamie Varner is facing Benson Henderson. Henderson is 10-1, loses by TKO, wins by submission. Varner is 16-2, and he can win by either. He's got 5 TKO victories, 9 submission victories. He is on a 5-fight win streak, with wins over the likes of Razor Rob as well. I think he was the person who he deposed. I'm going to go for Jamie Varner, but I'm not entirely sure how he's going to win. For some reason, I don't know if he's going to be able to TKO Henderson, to be fair. I might even go for a Jamie Varner decision, but of course it's 5 rounds. I don't know if it's going to go all that way. So I shall go for Jamie Varner, but I shall question mark as to how he is exactly going to win that one.